We had our first hit, Hrishi, in the first 6 months of us launching Virals. Our first 3 songs of Viral didn't even have a video. It had a great song, and it had some, what's it called? Like some graphic, in today's cheap, what do you call it? Those lyric videos that you have. That was, and we were so proud of it. We said, wow, what a video. And then by the second one, we said, are you crazy? This is not going to work. What happens is, if America starts cracking videos, what they start liking, it instantly you'll start seeing a flutter in Europe, Japan, China, all the around, not even India yet. By Tuesday, we were like, holy crap, this is like, oh my God. 2 reasons why regional is exploding. One is the regional artist is able to be as cool and as freaking arrived as the rest of them. They're not bedroom artists anymore. They have just upped their game to a whole new level. They're going all over the planet, finding the best producers in the world and doing shit, and we are enabling it, to be true. The other thing, the other side of it is who's listening. Because you can't just create and win, right? You need people to listen. This new generation age that we were talking about in question 1, they are now saying, boss, Sala, Spotify, Apple मेरे लिए playlist बना रहे. People are listening to my stuff. The one thing that wasn't cool 10 years ago or 15 years ago was that it wasn't cool to say I'm Gujarati. You and I may be the only ones who were proud and said, I'm proudly Bengali. Right? Now, they were proudly regional.
My guest of the day is an old friend and most importantly, one of the most important people in music, not just nationally, but internationally. Please welcome Devraj Sanyal, Chairman and CEO, India and South Asia, Senior VP Strategy, AMEA, Universal Music Group. Brother, man, wonderful to see you.
Good to see you too, bro. It sounds so weird when you read out my designation. It sounds like a lot of It's not.
But it is.
No, it's all good, man.
For a rock and roller who embraced the corporate life, seen so many verticals and sectors, and you're still rocking and rolling, it's really a tribute and a testament to all your hard work, and you're having fun along the way.
I've probably been to these studios more as Brahma and less as the corporate side of it, but it's fun, man. It's all good. Can't complain.
One of the reasons that Devraj is here is the music business itself has seen a radical shift post-COVID. And one of the people who are really defining that shift is him. And nobody knows consumer behavior better than Devraj Sanyal. So I think the logical beginning to this is the music business as we know it post-COVID. What are the major shifts in consumption, in consumers? How has the entire ecosystem, I mean, there's DSP, there's label, there's consumer, how's all that stuff evolved?
COVID actually was quite a testing time for most people in the world, right? And for a lot of people who depended on physically doing things, recording, shooting, actually got pretty badgered at that time. Everything had to shut down for a long time. For people like us in music, where prep times are long and you've banked a ton of stuff before, we suddenly realized that, oh my God, we were in a really advantageous space. And while we were mourning the fact that our friends were dying and the world was closing down, we were subtly in this situation where we had a ton of content, pre-canned, pre-done. And we said, this is probably the best time in the world where the world is going absolutely to hell. What do they need more than anything to make them sane is music. It was a perfectly poised requirement in a world that we were ready to go with, and nobody had planned it. No one knew, right? I think all of us, we should make fun of it, and I remember telling my guys that, dude, someday shit's gonna happen, but no one could foresee what was coming with COVID, right? But we were just beautifully, beautifully poised for that moment. The consumer was cooped up in a house with, from people like us who have large rooms to work in to the youngest junior guy who still has a desk to work in. He was now sitting in a dining table with him on one side, his wife on one side, and his children going to school at one side. So the whole world completely shifted. And the only thing that they had for the hours that they had was to either watch stuff on television/OTT or listen to music. And visual storytelling in whichever form suddenly came to the forefront. Because you couldn't go to the cinema, you couldn't go to the mall, you could for the first year and something, you couldn't go to the park. So what would you do? Put on your phone and listen to us. That was one humongous shift. And then we realized, other things like short format suddenly became a thing, right? So UGC virality, we have never seen the birth of short format the way we saw it during COVID. It just erupted. It just went crazy. And suddenly from a world that was hybrid with digital and television and all the other forms in the world, including old school radio, suddenly everything went digital because there was physically nothing else to do. And digital dominance in that world, prime timed with the ability to pay on UPI, the ability for data to be really, really cheap and one of the cheapest in the world. The highest, I'm sure this you've heard here 100,000 times. The ability of smartphone penetration, which India has a lot of, we have 1 billion plus SIMs and 700-800 million smartphones. Suddenly you put all of that into a box and you're like, oh my God, COVID isn't as bad as you think it is, So from all of these things sort of coming together, we were like, okay, man, this is not a bad place to be at all, and everyone followed suit, right? So the artists knew that they were feeding into a brand new ecosystem. So they had to sing differently, tell stories differently, be different, be authentic in a way that they had never been before, because they realized this is not some slick promo thing that you can redo 3 times. The labels obviously realized what the artists were, and because we're artists first, we were doing everything to sort of feed into that. The DSPs realized that, boss, suddenly now in this new digital era, people from towns and cities and zillas and, like absolutely the tiniest place in the world were listening in. And they were listening in different languages. And it was available. So the DSP said, okay, maybe it's time to localize and localize really hard. So suddenly the birth of regional came about not because anyone willed it, but it was what was being consumed. And the ability for it to be consumed was happening because of a need that wasn't governed by us. Because if you're sitting in Murshidabad, and you're not an English-speaking guy, and you're not listening to Radio 1, and your natural consumption is Bihari music, and now Spotify, Apple, whoever else is now designing a playlist for you, you will consume it because it's easy. And you can because data is cheap. You can because you're very likely broadbanded. It's okay because your phones are pretty smart, much more than before, and you don't need really television. This is even pre-smart TV. Now, if you look at all of that, Rishi, as an ecosystem, it's perfect. Why would you not use that desperately? And the artists, I thought, were the smartest. They realized that, boss, DSPs are falling in line, labels are doing stuff, the consumer shift is phenomenal. This is the time for us to now really be able to tell a story. The one thing that we realized why we were successful, and it's probably some other question of yours, but because it's interrelated, we saw the birth of non-film. The one thing that we called really smartly as universal was we said that, boss, थिएटर में लोग नहीं जाएगा, मतलब फिल्म म्यूजिक में तकलीफ है, मतलब उन लोगों को साला they will have to listen to whatever is available. Anything in the sonic world. And for people like you and me, we've grown up listening to either hardcore international or maybe if it's Hindi, like real retro, Yeah, I mean, from the old catalogs of Rafi and, people like that, right? Didi and Rafi and Tai. But here was a new generation saying that, boss, there is an Anup Jain and there are, the Pratik Kuhards and there are these other young kids, including hip hop, which was on its rise. It's going to come. We called it because we weren't in film at that time. We weren't in the film business. So all we were doing was non-film. Now, non-film is a terrible word, but it came out because in some interview they asked me what kind of music do you make, and apart from international and retro and catalog and everything else, I said, we make music that's not going to film. So the guy said non-film, international interview. I said, yeah, non-film. That was how the word non-film music was formed. And it's terrible. It's the most derogatory because it sounds lesser than film, which is not. So we saw the birth of non-film as a direct consequence of COVID because suddenly people were listening to everything and anything and falling in love. And then as, over a period of time, you'll see, and I'm sure as we speak, massive rise in that consumption as well.
It actually segues very beautifully into my next question. I mean, I spent a lot of time pre-release when Sanyara was about to release with Mohit Suri. And Mohit was a lot of love for you, was talking about how viral went viral,
Mohit started it.
Yeah, and how people like yourself really believed in that vision and took it to the next level. And non-film, which is the lesser word that you're talking about, is something that we've also kind of ridden the wave on. We have a project called One with Indie.
Correct.
Which essentially means we're not saying we're doing an independent English music, Indian singing in English late in the night.
Correct.
Or we're bracketing it. Between a John Mayer and a Selena Gomez, you will have an Indian artist singing English. And Devraj, we ask people to send in songs to us, and Kobad, our music manager, pretty much does that all through the day. He's just sitting and listening to artists.
Correct.
And all we ask of people is you might compose it in your bedroom, but go to a proper studio and mix and master it so that when we play it with an international artist,
It doesn't
sound flat. And my God, the kind of response we've gotten is through the roof, man. And you're right. That independent music, whether it's somebody singing in their regional language or in Hindi or in English, is just fantastic. And in a way, you've pioneered that. So you spoke a little bit of it.
So I'll tell you, I mean, the truth of the matter is, and you've known me a long time. I mean, I just asked you, you were in radio for 31 years. And in those same 31 years, I was on the other side being an artist and being an executive. And I'll tell you what my superpower is. Because I've been a musician and because I know how to play an instrument and sing a song and record an album, and I've done that, I produced my own stuff. I have no illusion that being a heavy metal singer, songwriter, composer gives me any ability to understand electronica, indie, anything. It doesn't, right? I mean, way back before my Universal job, I remember when we started Sunburn, when this kid called Aman and I founded it, and we said, dude, we don't understand the first thing about EDM. Who do we know that understands EDM? And we said, Nikhil Chinnappa. That's how Nikhil became part of Sunburn. We called him and said, bro, we don't understand. I know the structure. I know how to do it. I know it'll be amazing. I know how to raise money. I know how to produce it. But the music, I don't understand. He came. Viral, when we started Viral, in our head, we were, okay, this needs to be music that sounds massy enough for pan-India consumption,
True.
But it will not be behind some face of an artist, of an actor singing or whatever, right? So we said, who do we know who makes beautiful music, who understands music at a studio level, but is a great storyteller? My colleague then, who helped me build the business, he said, Mohit Suri. Lo and behold, next minute, Mohit's in our office, and we're like, bro, do you want to do this? He said, man, I've been trying to do this my whole life. Can we do this together? And for 3 years, he helped us build Viral Originals. And I have no shame in saying it that if it wasn't for Mohit Suri and my first colleague Vineet, who was like our, the guy who helped me run it, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did with Viral. They believed. I knew the structures. I knew how to put it together. I knew how to make sense out of it. I knew where the money was coming from, and I knew where it was going to go. And I understood the chart positioning and the rest of the stuff. But it still needed someone to editorially figure out the sonic. Mohit Suri. We had our first hit, Hrishi, in the first 6 months of us launching Virals. Our first 3 songs of Viral didn't even have a video. It had a great song, and it had some, what's it called? Like some graphic, in today's cheap, what do you call it? Those lyric videos that you have. That was, and we were so proud of it. We said, wow, what a video. And then by the second one, we said, are you crazy? This is not going to work. And then our fourth song was this kid called Akul, who became quite famous later on, had this song called Lal Bindi. And we spent a grand total of some 3-4 lakh rupees, which in 2017-18, we were like, oh my God, that's so expensive. And we built this beautiful story with this girl in Goa in a casino. Done. Nothing happened to the song. In December of that year, so sad, one massive influencer got into a motorcycle accident and died. That was the last song he was listening to. The next day, I mean, I'm horrible, born out of tragedy. The next day, the song went from a normal song all the way up. It just exploded because everyone was now listening to this kid called Akul and listening to Lal Bindi. But because of this stuff, there was Arjun Kanungo's song with this young, great artist from across the border called Momina Mustahan, who you know. And they had a great goddamn song called Ayana 2, exploded. Azim Azhar, exploded. Like Azim's song of 2018 is still in the 200 charts every month. It comes off and on. So people realize that if the music is great and the visual storytelling is great, it doesn't matter what the language is. So if you did it in Hindi, well done. If you did it in Tamil, today I can cut back so many years and tell you some of our greatest hits are now coming out of Kerala. There are 3 Malayalam songs on the 200 charts, all hip hop. When in God's name was that going to happen, right?
We're not even talking about Suraj, which is Hanumankind Story.
That's a whole different Malayali for you, my friend. That is not even funny, right? But think about it. Who ever thought that Malayalam hip hop, kids who I guarantee you not even heard their names, are now in the charts and they're banging it hard, dude. Young kids from Bombay, young kids from Ahmedabad, young kids from like the smallest towns who are unafraid to speak in their own language, emote in their own language, tell their story in their own language. I can't tell you, Rish, it's so first of all, what they're doing is very powerful. But if you hang with them and you see them and you hear them, you'll actually understand why actually non-film works, why actually independent works. They don't really give a crap about what you think of their music. They're making the music because they love it. Char Diwali, my favorite example. You think he gives a flying crap about what you think of his abilities? He doesn't care. But in that not caring, the whole goddamn world cares about him. They think, my God, what a genius.
So you're basically saying that regional music is now the new national.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. And this growth has sometimes been organic, sometimes because of various social reasons. And now we're seeing all these Mufassil artists coming to the fore. You've talked a little bit about significant milestones in the company, but I'd like you to talk a little more about that. How UMI has been ahead of the curve, and what are other significant milestones in the company's entertainment journey? And most importantly, how you've broken artists in the global ecosystem.
Wow, that only Hrishi K can ask 16 questions in one question. I've forgotten the first two questions, but chalo, let's sort of take off.
Regional, national, international.
Regional, national, international.
And milestones.
The one thing I think which is breaking artists, right? The simple philosophy of breaking artists is this, and this is a global universal thing, we've always believed in it. Our KPIs of our key executives, whether it's, first of all, I have the largest A&R team in the country, right? Everyone has 1.5. We've got like 12. Because that's all we do. We make music. We genuinely don't like to do other things. We make music and then everything else is surrounded. It's a pretty large organization. It's not a small, it's a large organization, revenue-wise, everything-wise. But it starts with the music, it starts with the artist, and it pretty much, that is sitting in the kernel of everything, right? So breaking artists is one of the most important things in our world. And every artist we work with, Rishi, we think that they are the most important artists in the world. If you come to the Universal office, which you have many times, you will see an unknown kid sitting in the studio. You will see Badsha, you will see AP Dillon, you will see Anuv Jain. You will see everyone in the world who matters, but there is no distinction in our head between boss tum superstar hai ki tum nahi superstar hai. Superstar is a function of charts, right? So we approach artist and artistry saying ki boss, they will create cultural change. It is our job to empower them to the hilt to make sure that they are able to take our message and our brand of music, which I'm very proud of. Being a musician myself, being a producer myself, very important for us. I mean, I'm holding the flag of saying, boss, how do I take you first to Bombay, then to India, then to Asia, then to Africa and outside? We approach everyone like that. Suraj was an anomaly. The first time I heard Hanumankind's music, and this was like a year or two before we signed him, way back when. And I heard this kid and I'm like, wow, like what's going on? And I remember Sumit, the head of my independent business, he was just running one piece of it then. And he's like, bro, this guy's a ferocious fellow, like genuinely like what the hell? And I'm like, let's sign him. And I'm like, there's something going on with him. Just the way his style, his emotion, the way he spits. And he had one thing going for him, which you will appreciate being the English guy who became the Hindi guy, who's still the English guy, is that the common consensus in the world was that Hindi music will explode. Not Punjabi, not anything. And I'm like, how? You can tell a story in a way that somebody has to understand what you're saying. America mein kaisa fatega? Boss, if they don't understand forget the tonality and the sonicality. If they don't understand the core mal of what you're saying, how will they ever understand? So it's got to be English. And everyone disagreed with me for a long time. Till the coming of Suraj. I thought a song before him, and I've said this before on podcast, that a song called Go to Sleep. When I saw the video, it blew my mind. I was like, holy crap, this is like a Fight Club situation. He's outstanding. This song is going to erupt. English, mind you. Didn't. When Big Talks dropped, all of us said, this is different. You know why? Go to Sleep was a Indian video with English thinking. This was shot in the wall of death by our good friend Bijoy, who's crazy, Suraj's creative partner, about an Indian idea, but telling a global story. But the language was English. Suddenly everyone knew what the hell was happening in that song. When he said Big Stepper, everyone understood that this is the coming of a massive moment. And we saw, okay, it was doing well, till international, this is the story actually no one knows. I got a call. We dropped it on a Friday, Thursday, Friday, must be Friday. On a Sunday afternoon, I get a call from my colleague in the US saying, bro, what's going on with the song? And I'm like, what do you mean, what's going on? And I had no idea. Because we will track it a day later, right? So this kid from Capital, who's old friend of mine, Sergio, calls him and says, are you seeing what's happening? I'm like, dude, I don't have the data yet. I'll get to see it on Monday. He said, no, something's happening. I'm like, okay, what's happening? He said, we're seeing some weird reactions from people. Like, these guys who, like how you have these, what are these YouTubers? Yeah, all these guys who review stuff. The global buggers are reacting to this video. I'm like, really? And they were just about to being shared, so we were just about beginning to see it. And suddenly we saw like this flurry of stuff going on. Like these young, cool black kids all over, like, wow. I'm like, what? And he said, bro, do you want me to do something? I'm like, dude, whatever you can do. And the one thing I've learned in my 15 years in Universal is, when you see something special happening, don't sit on your ass. At that very minute, go ham. If you have to spend money, time, energy, not sleep the night, that is the minute to do it. So I told Sergio, Baba, go do whatever you want. Now there's another bad story to it, because he was from I am Def Jam India. So technically my Def Jam American counterpart, but these guys asked, and I'm like, I don't care who does it, just go and do it. By Monday, we started seeing and what happens is, if America starts cracking videos, what they start liking, it instantly you'll start seeing a flutter in Europe, Japan, China, all the surround, not even India yet. By Tuesday, we were like, holy crap, this is like, oh my God. And these guys are like, shall we go full on? By this time, I've called everyone in the world, and I've, the global buggers know me, because I was the guy for 10 years that was carrying my India suitcase, saying, sir, we are very good, someday something will happen. And they're like, when your time comes, it comes. Now it was happening. All my years of suitcase carrying, book salesman, and now everyone's like, hey, he's an India guy, bro. Everyone came to the party and participated. Suddenly, China was exploding, and we were like, what? And in 6 weeks, for the first time in the history, forget India, that other part you read, AMEA, which is Africa, Middle East, Asia, where my second role exists. In that entire world, we had a song breach the Billboard Hot 100 top 10. Never happened before. By this time, Suraj was going mad, we were going mad, we were like, what the? Spotify Global 200, number 7. We're like, ye to means something is insane, right? And then viral number 1 song in the world for many weeks. The most Shazam song in the world. We're like, what? Most Shazam song in the world, Hrishi, do you understand? Like by this time, in my hairstyle, by this time we were like, oh, wonderful. Let's go. But I must admit, Suraj came to the party. We came to the party. My labels came to the party. We never got excited like, oh my God, we have arrived. We just put your head down and work and push this as hard as you can, because iska to ho gaya moment. Now you have to open the door wide enough for everyone else. So at that time, see, my job being chairman is only one. I don't do any real work, right? I have wonderful, much more qualified MDs than me who run all my business. I don't have a real job, and you know that. My job is thinking, boss, if this door is open, how can I open the next 5 doors? So I'm already thinking 26, 27, what to do. That we did quite well. We didn't open the doors, we shoved one rod through it, saying anything in this world that is beginning to pop, we are there. And we saw the birth of that. And I can give you stats, it'll shock you. Like what Suraj's stuff did. And let's face it, after that, we haven't had that moment yet. He's had a lot of moments. He's toured the world. He's recorded with the best artists in the world. He's had the best producer. His time is continuously coming. He is the first Indian who played 2 weekends at what do you call it?
Coachella.
At Coachella. 2 weekends. I'm happy the other guy was also us. But can you imagine? And the guy who owns and runs Coachella, I got a call in the middle of the night because I was supposed to be there and I couldn't go for whatever work reasons. And the Capital CEO, all of them are standing together on video saying that, bro, we wish you were here. And they turn the thing around. I'm seeing Suraj, but I'm watching the YouTube live deferred. I'm on song 3. They're already ending the thing. And I'm like, oh my God. When he tells me that, man, your Kai is a weapon, I'm like, correct. I don't need any more ratification, right? So that is how the story of the first one erupted. Not because he was spectacularly good, which he is, we are amazing, which we are. No. It was the coming together of a ton of people together with the right intent and the right mind and this burning desire to break music of Indian origin into the world, irrespective of, like I said, the next one could be Haryanvi, Bhojpuri, Hindi, Punjabi, no one gives a crap. But that intent coming together, na bro, was what that moment was. It was just erupted. Now, what was the second question? There were like 16 of them.
No, I mean, the first significant global ecosystem, breaking in international ecosystem, and you've answered that. Now, there are obviously lots of models that you work with, but the fact that you have an exclusive artist network at UMI, I'd like you to talk about that.
Okay, I want to spend one more minute on regional because we sort of left that halfway, right? In our independent run of the world, and I just brought a Malayalam as one example, we actually saw that with Punjabi and Haryanvi a lot before, right? Haryanvi was nobody. There was one song called, Bavan Gach Ka Daman, which was that one song that for whatever reason did what it did, and Renuka's fantastic, but it was an anomaly. It just did amazingly on YouTube. Were there like massive audio streaming numbers? Not really. There were, but not enough. It just exploded on YouTube because the number of people who watch it, right? But there's a guy called Dhanda Nyoliwala, who none of us really knew. He was the Suraj of Haryana, or the Badshah of Haryana. He knew how to spit immaculately. Heart was absolutely in the right way. Amazing singer-songwriter, amazing producer, but knew how to tell video stories better than anyone. He was now making these huge videos with cars and whatever else, like the full shebang, but in a relatable way. He wasn't wannabe, which comes back to my authenticity. He was genuinely being that guy over a period of time. And suddenly we saw on the Spotify India 200, on Apple, all the charts, our first time that we breached the 200 chart with Haryanvi. Then we breached the 100. Then we breached the 30. Then we breached the top 10 with a Haryanvi song. And I'm like, okay, something is going on in this country that clearly we are not understanding, because above it is three Bollywood songs. There's an Anuv song right on top, and then there are two more Bollywood songs, and then there's some South songs from some, Avesham type situation, Sushin Sham going on, and then there is some more regional stuff. So other regions and music, today's example would be Marathi. Shreyas is now cracking some of those charts because they're all telling incredibly outstanding stories in their own language. You know what's common in all of them? It's their art. When Shreyas Agarwal spits in Marathi, it is as good and in as much meter and as sexy and beautiful as Suraj in English or Raftar or any example. I can give you a bloody list of 5,000 of these, right? That is the other thing why regional, the two reasons why regional is exploding. One is the regional artist is able to be as cool and as freaking arrived as the rest of them. They're not bedroom artists anymore. They have just upped their game to a whole new level. They're going all over the planet, finding the best producers in the world and doing shit, and we are enabling it to be true. The other thing, the other side of it is who's listening, because you can't just create and win, right? You need people to listen. This new generation age that we were talking about in question 1, they are now saying, boss, Thala, Spotify, Apple mere liye playlist bana rahe. People are listening to my stuff. The one thing that wasn't cool 10 years ago or 15 years ago was that it wasn't cool to say I'm Gujarati. You and I may be the only ones who were proud and said, I'm proudly Bengali. Right? Now, they were proudly regional. They were proudly Haryanvi. No one would ever say I'm a proud Haryana boy. Can you think of it 10 years ago? They'll be running away, say, oh, I'm from NCR. Right? They say, I'm happy to come and sing and understand Bhojpuri. Bro, when was Bhojpuri cool? It was always sleaze. Yeah. Now we're seeing a side belt of music coming from the region, from the UP, which is immaculately good, yeah. Outstandingly good. When the hell did that happen? Bengali music will blow your mind. Gujarati music, it'll blow your mind. I'm like, wow. And it really helps that the RRRs and, the big budget, massive situation, being nominated for, all the big ones in the world, now coming, not only playing in Netflix and Amazon here, but being consumed all over the world. Our diaspora, don't forget, our diaspora is one of the key things why regional works.
True.
Regional is not the new national because it's not being consumed. It's being created. Everyone has created it. But how is the story being told? Yeah. And there's such beauty in our regions, I mean, I was saying my wife the other day, I have no time to watch nothing, but I watched The Family Man season 3, and I just finished watching Patal Lok 2, which I should have watched a long time ago. They're the same region, and of course my favorite Mirzapur.
Yeah,
all of them are coming, not northeast, north.
Filmed there.
But the last one. Imagine they're telling stories of that belt, which means death of all kinds. But the way that story is being told, the minute there's English subtitles, is being consumed all over the world.
Yeah.
Look at their global ratings of being watched. Those are the signs that regional will come. And let's face it, anytime there's great storytelling, music is a natural byproduct. And in many times, music leads the storytell piece. Same like films, right? How do you market films? With their music. Same thing's happening today. And we are so glad to see it that people are proud to be of a region, proud to consume it, proud to create it, proud to share it. Again, going back to the UGC thing. When was the last time you'd be proud to be sharing a piece of regional content that, like a cool guy from Kerala who's now studying in Bombay, sharing Malayali clips? No, man. Now they're doing it more with greater pride than they would be sharing their own English stuff, right? So that change has come now in India, and people are proud of it, and we are seeing it, and we're loving it.
94.3 Radio 1.